Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad-gītā. Today we'll be studying chapter 9, text 25. Not all paths lead to the same destination. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Bhagavad-gītā chapter 9 text 25. Very important verse. Yānti deva-vratā devān pitṛn yānti pitṛ-vratāḥ bhūtāni yānti bhūtejyā yānti mad-yājino pimam. Yānti go, deva-vratā, worshippers of demigods, devān, to the demigods, pitṛn, to the ancestors, yānti go, pitṛ-vratāḥ, worshippers of ancestors, bhūtāni, to the ghosts and spirits, yānti go, bhūtejyā, worshippers of ghosts and spirits, yānti go, mad-yājino, devotees, api but, mam, unto me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Purport. If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darsha Paurnamasi. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pitta planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, raksha or pisacha. Pisacha worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art and they think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the pitas achieve the pita planets, or by practicing the black arts achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotees not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. So please share this live stream with your friends and in the WhatsApp groups and social media so that more people can take advantage of this session. Okay, so recently there was this controversy of Yatamat Tathapat in ISKCON. Vivekananda was criticized, and then ISKCON backtracked after that. But anyway, his philosophy is wrong. Vivekananda is absolutely wrong in his philosophy, which says Yatamat Tatopat. That means as many ways there are that one can conceive of, that many ways, all of them are, good. So it's a claim that is not substantiated by any shastric evidence, and quite to the contrary, today's verse states the exact opposite. In fact, the contention here in this verse is each path has its own destination. So deva-vratā devān, pitṛ-vratāḥ pitṛn, bhūtejyā bhūtāni, mad-yājino. So the destination and the method taken are different. Each path will lead to its own destination. Now, it's not that all of the destinations are ends in themselves. It also has to be noted. What I mean by that is, suppose one goes to the what is that? Devaloka or the Swargaloka, heavenly planets. Yes, one by worshipping the demigod, particular demigod, we can go to that particular planet. But after that, that's not a permanent situation, isn't it? So that destination is not an end in itself, because after that again we will come back here, and then we can next life or many lives later we can go to the ghostly planets or hellish planets, or be remaining in these planets, earthly planets. So in this way, um, and then there is also the possibility where if one goes to the heavenly planets, from there one may meet a pure devotee and make further advancement and eventually go back to Vaikuntha. So that is also possible. So by worshipping the demigods, can one go back to Krishna? Not immediately, but in the demigods planets, one may, if he is fortunate, contact a pure devotee, and then he may actually become pure and go back to Vaikuntha from there. So from any part of this material world, one can go back to Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan, which is the highest planet in the Vaikuntha realm. So all this is possible, but by that particular method, that is the goal. Now from there, if you can go further, that's another thing. But when you go to Vaikuntha, like yānti mad-yājino in the verse, that is an end. That is termination of material existence. After that, there is no more, you know, maybe going to the heavenly planets. Of course, one can go if he is foolish enough, and and make the mistake again and of coming back here in this material world, he can definitely go to again any other planet. But Krishna promises that when you come back to me this time, you're not going to go back to this material, come back to, sorry, once you go back this time, you're not going to come back to this material world. Yadgatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. So, um, why? Why do we not come back? Well, the chance to come back is definitely there. But Maya, as much as it looks like Maya wants to keep us here, Maya's real mission is to wake us up to a point where we will never want to come back here. For that, she will exercise her full control, her full deceptiveness and everything, so that we can experience every punishment there is, so that if we ever even get a slightest idea to change our mind after going back to Godhead, because we are independent, our independence is never snatched away from us, although surrender means to surrender that independence to Krishna. But by nature, we're independent. That is a voluntary effort to surrender one's independence, but he can always misuse again. But Maya wants to leave us with these impressions of utter horror that we will have, have in our memory after going back to Godhead. As we learnt in the prayers in the womb of the mother, he remembers past 100 lives. So, if that is possible even during the birth, then how much more is it possible? It is possible when one goes back to Krishna. So he remembers maybe more than 100 lives, and how much more? We don't know. So that memory, the indelible memory of utter horror, of all kinds of sufferings, and the guilt of leaving Krishna and going away after having, understood the value of being with Krishna. So those impressions should be so strong and striking and indelible and horrendous that we would never want to come back. So Maya wants to make us experience every damn thing in this material world so that we will never want to come back here. For now, it looks like she is, facilitating our sense gratification and, taking us out of Krishna consciousness and throwing us out and, keeping us covered. Yes, that is her action. But that is only because she wants to test our determination. If we are determined, she will give all facility for us to go to Krishna. She, the same Mahamaya, will act like Yogamaya for the devotee. It is not that it's too different. It is the same thing. Its effect is different because of our disposition. Like the police. Policeman, the police officer is the same. But if I'm a criminal, I will get different treatment from the policeman. If I'm a lawful citizen, or if I'm even like, a kind of maybe some in a cooperative way, if I cooperate with the police to actually, and like I have seen some programs here in Singapore. They call it COP program, one of the many programs where COP means citizens on patrol. So it's ordinary citizens, but who kind of are auxiliary police, who help the police, in that way. So, or even if whether they or even ordinary citizens who are lawful, they are not punished by the same policeman. They will receive a different treatment, and the criminal will receive a different treatment. So that is a practical example of how Maya is. Maya seems very vicious, and in some religions it is even oh God and the devil. Now devil is nothing but Maya. Yes, it is devilish. Pisacha paile janam atuchanna hoy. Maya-grasta jiver hoy say bhava uday. That is stated even in our scriptures. Jagadananda Pandit, in his Prema Vivarta, he has written that Pishachi paile jana mati channa hoy. Channa means our mind becomes covered by this overwhelming influence of the ghost if one is haunted by a ghost. So similarly, our position is exactly like that under the control of material nature Maya, where we are completely under the control of Maya, and when one is haunted by a ghost, he will act deliriously, he will speak nonsense, everything is, not in order. So we are also speaking nonsense out by the influence of the material world. Now, that is devilish, yes, that is the devil, that is the haunting. But she does that because we wanted to be the devil. So she's facilitating us to become a proper devil. But devil means, who has come away from God. And we did that. So, so she's not the devil actually. The devil we are. she's she's the punisher of the devil, the prison warden. Now, of course, because she tries to keep us here, she is touted as the devil. But if you really examine the whole thing, we are the devil. She is actually Vaishnavi Devi. She is a devotee, prison warden. Yeah, for the you know, if one is wanting to go out of the prison, it should not be easy, right? It is not that he will make some excuse and he'll make a show of being a good guy and then getting parole and then going out of the jail and again committing the same nonsense. So, in order to ensure that there will be zero turning back, zero repetition of this nonsense again on our part. So she wants to leave us with an indelible, horrendous memory. So that's her way of making us devotees. So anyway, these paths are there, and one can, like the last one, mad-yājino, worshipping Krishna. That is the ultimate. There's no turning back. But the others, worshipping ghosts and pitṛ and deva. Actually, if you see, these are the four modes. The three modes, and the last one is the turiya guna, which is the fourth or transcendental shuddha sattva mode. So deva-vratā are those who are in the mode of goodness. They go to the heavenly planets by worshipping the devatas. pitṛ-vratāḥ, they are in the mode of passion. And bhūtāni yānti bhūtejyā, worshippers of ghosts, they are in the mode of ignorance. So goodness, passion, and ignorance. And finally, yānti mad-yājino mam, shuddha sattva, which is the vasudeva sthiti. So, if you see, these are all actually pertaining to the modes. So everything is classified in this material world, and not just classified, they're governed by the three modes. So we should always know these things, what to do and what not to do, and also see everything from that perspective. Many a time we subscribe to non-Vedic ideologies and theories and frameworks of thought. What do I mean by that? Framework means thought framework, or something to a structure in which we can understand things. For example, vegetarianism, veganism. So vegetarianism is a framework in which we think, okay, I will eat vegetables and milk, and vegan means without milk. So we have constructed some definitions of these words, and so that it gives a shape to what we think, to express it in a way understandable to everyone, and for us to process thoughts as well. So, is this vegetarian? Oh, okay. Yeah, this is vegetarian. This is not vegetarian. Is this vegan? So, so if there is clear parameters of what this is, then we identify with those parameters, with those labels. Now, that is the framework. That is an example of a framework. So we place ourselves in a certain frame, in a certain box, in a certain identification compartment. So we should shed all such. Of course, we should be aware of those, because we need to combat these ideas when we are preaching. So we should be aware of those. But at the same time, we should present our version, Bhagavad-gītā version of perspective on life. Now, when I say vegetarian, okay, I'm supposed to eat vegetables, or that is the idea. But then milk is there. They drink milk and milk products. Vegans, they don't take milk products. So, what is the difference between vegetarian and vegan then? Vegetarian means one who eats vegetables. But then milk is not a vegetable, it's an animal product. So, is this even vegetarian? Question mark. Then, onion, garlic, they're considered vegetables. So, one may eat them if he's a vegetarian. So, how do we classify things? We don't classify whether this is, animal, plant, or whatever. Whether it is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, or even transcendental to these three modes. So, if something is sattvic that is coming from an animal, we will accept it. Like conch shell is considered pure, can be put even in the altar room, which is actually a bone. A bone is it's an impure thing. If we even see a dead body bones, if we touch it, we have to take a bath. But the conch shell is allowed in the altar room. Now you may say, where is the logic? The logic is the wish of Krishna, that's it. There's no other logic to it. In fact, there is no such thing as logic other than Krishna's will. Whatever he thinks, that is logic. That should be our framework. Whatever he authorizes, that we do. Whatever he doesn't authorize, we don't do. Like that. And cow dung, for example. I mean, stool of an animal, stool of human being, this is all, mode of ignorance. A pig is condemned for eating stool. But then cow dung is worshipped. I mean, it's used in not only it's used in worship, for example, yajnas and like initiation, marriage, and all these havan, homam. We use cow dung patties to in the fire. That's one thing. It is used even in like a panchagavya, which is used in the consecration of deities in the temple. Then we use it for, it can be used as fuel, it can be used as manure for agriculture, so many uses. And cow urine is used even as medicine. It has so many medicinal properties in what is that, anti-infection, what is this, anti-infection properties. So antiseptic, yeah. So all these things are there. That is even materially speaking. It has even subtle effects which are like, for example, it can drive away ghosts. Cow urine. So these are unknown to the modern scientists, but these things are there. So cow dung, cow urine. In fact, when Putana came and tried to kill Krishna, but of course Krishna killed her. But Yashoda, out of her motherly love for Krishna, she wanted to protect him from evil influences of this kind of witches and hobgoblins and all these pisachas and rakshasas, yakshas and all these bad influences. So what she did, she bathed him in cow urine, cow dung, and what is that? Waved in circles around him the cow tail. So in other words, I think I can take you there. Let's see. This is from the Krishna book. Hmm. When the gopis saw little Krishna playing fearlessly playing on Putana's lap, they very quickly came and picked him up. Mother Yashoda, Rohini, and other elder gopis immediately performed auspicious rituals by taking the tail of a cow and circumambulating his body. The child was completely washed with the urine of a cow, and the dust created by the hooves of the cows was thrown all over his body. This was all just to save little Krishna from future inauspicious accidents. This incident gives us a clear indication of how important the cow is to the family, society, and to the living beings in general. The transcendental body of Krishna did not require any protection, but to instruct us on the importance of the cow, the Lord was smeared over with cow dung, washed with the urine of a cow, and sprinkled with the dust upraised by the walking of the cows. After this purificatory process, the gopis headed by Mother Yashoda and Rohini chanted the names of Vishnu to give Krishna's body full protection from all evil influences. So you see, these things are unknown. The subtle purification of the cow's urine and dung and all these things. See, so how is that logical? You may ask. But then if we just follow, it will be correct. This logic is not by saying one pattern. So we understand. So we take these things to be a pattern. We classify all stool in one category, and that's why we cannot understand. So our categorization is wrong. So that's what I'm saying. So we vegetarianism, veganism, or all these things, our categorization of them is wrong. We have yes, we have some categorization. We have done some categorization, but that categorization is wrong. The basis for that categorization. Oh, all these things which are similar in nature, they're all in one category. That's common logic, common sense logic with our brain. But the basis of categorization should be Krishna, Krishna's will. What is sattvic? What is rajasic? What is tamasic? And what is transcendental? This should be the framework of classifying things, not this Western way or some imperfect way of classifying things. See? So if you see this worship also, this today's verse, it is classified. If you see closely, it is actually classification of the three modes and the transcendental mode. So, like in this way, you can find everywhere. In fact, Bhagavad-gītā 14 chapter, 17 chapter, 18 chapter, so many references to the three modes: faith in three modes, charity in three modes, religion. Religion in three modes, and what is that? Eating in three modes. Um, all kinds of things. So in three modes. So how to understand this? So Krishna is giving us a framework. So he did not come up with this idea of vegetarianism, veganism, and this and that. No. That's why today um, the vegans are laughed at by the meat eaters because vegans say that you're cruel to the animals and all that. Then the meat eaters will say, well, you are saying that you're not cruel, but to grow the avocados, uh, you so many billions of bees have to die. I don't know what they do. I saw one video about forgot. I think the way they raise, the way they pollinate and all the seeds and everything, bees are required, and then they kill the bees for some reason. I don't know what exactly. So billions of bees are dying. So and then even while in the fields, so many trees have to be cut in order to make fields for agriculture, and so many in other words, forests have to be cleared, and like space has to be made for agriculture. Next, while in the fields there is so many pests and weeds and rodents and all kinds of animals that are killed. So where is there no killing? This is what they argue. And why are you saying that you're not cruel when you're also killing? So you know so therefore it's a useless thing, and therefore we can just do whatever we want. So that's their proposition. So therefore these arguments, if you really go microscopic level and analyze each of these categorizations, they don't have basis. They cannot hold an argument. That's why they will be forever in debate, these vegans and meat eaters. But our stance is perfect. Yes, we also say vegetarians are also killing plants. Definitely not as sinful as the meat eaters, but still there. At least it is the ordained food for humans, which is um, vegetarian category. But still, humans by right actually should take Krishna prasadam because they can. Animals can't do it. They are given certain quota of food, some meat, some vegetable, grass and something like that. But as humans, we should do yajna. Aghayurindriyaramam mogham partha sajivati. If we don't do yajna, then we are leading a sinful life. So, yajna shishtashinah santo mucchante sarva kil vishayah bhunjate te tvagham papa ye pachanti atma karanat. So, if we don't offer to Krishna, then whatever we are eating is sin. So, therefore, vegetarian or non-vegetarian, if it is not offered to Krishna, it is sin. Now, if it is offered to Krishna, it is pure food. Because jivo jivasya jivanam. Okay, first let's see this. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. And let's go to this. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam Phalguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. This is there in the Manusmriti also, similar verse. 113:47. Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. So we can't escape. So therefore, meat eating and veganism, vegetarian, all will fail in the ultimate issue in the argument because they're just doing the same thing. So, what is our solution then? If everything is life, then how to go out of sin or criminality? So we offer food to Krishna. And what can we offer to Krishna? Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. So food in the vegetarian category, we can offer to Krishna. And of course, save for onions, leeks, and garlic and stuff like that. Tobacco and all that. Mushrooms. So these we can't eat. But the others, they're offerable to Krishna. And then we can offer them and then eat as Krishna prasadam. Even roots. Roots means if you pluck a vegetable from a plant, maybe the plant won't die. But if it is a root like carrot, beetroot, potato, they have to be uprooted. So the plant has to die. But still it is okay. Not only okay, the plant which is dying and its roots or fruits or vegetables or whatever is being offered to Krishna or flowers, if it is offered to Krishna, a plant also is getting benefited. And milk of the cow. Now, vegans they say, oh, cruelty to the cows, therefore we should not drink milk. Well, the milk of the cow, which is being sent to the slaughter, if that milk can be offered to Krishna, why not? Now you may say, yes, there's so many injecting so many things, this enzyme or whatever injections they're giving. Yes, it is not ideal. It is not ideal. Kali Yuga, everything will be contaminated. Even the rice we are eating is not ideal because pesticides are used or whatever. There's contamination in everything. Everything. But Prabhupada said milk is too important not to be taken. So whatever it is, we should take, even if it is not completely pure. By Krishna consciousness, everything will become pure. Like, Um, what is that? Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam. 8:23:16. Mantratastantratashchidram deshakalarhavastutah sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. Paraphernalia is this, all these items and all that. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. So even if there is some impurity in the way things are, derived, but when we chant, then Krishna will purify. We do not know how these purifications happen, but these happen. That is called faith, proper faith in Krishna. So when we eat like that, then nobody can argue anything. So even, oh, I am killing, some animal for meat, and you are killing for plants. It's all the same. Don't come and lecture me. No, it's no more the same. Because this is ordained and is offered to Krishna, and here it's completely condemned. So it's not at all the same. So that is the only strong basis for argument. Otherwise, nothing has any basis. I was watching a video today. A scientist. He's a theist. That means he believes in God. At the same time, he's a scientist. And he was making this point that not only like now, my argument was that without Krishna's, Shastric references of what Krishna wants, what Krishna authorizes, and what not, what he does not authorize. That is the only basis by which you can define what is right and wrong. Every other so-called definition of right and wrong and this and that compartmentalization of or frameworks of thinking falls short of a solid basis if we really dig into the matter. Anything. And this scientist, he was saying something interesting. He was saying that 50 years ago, 50, 30, 40 years ago, people thought, scientific community, they thought, at least there was a hope that they could create life maybe after in about 50 years time. They would be in a state of being able to create life. By then they would have understood everything that needs to be known, and then they can actually create life. They thought like that about 40, 50 years back. But as they try to understand at a much more deeper level the cellular structure and the DNA, how it all works, the more they go and try to understand, the more they understand the complexity of the whole thing. The more they are exposed to the complexity, how much more complex than what they thought it was. And now they're thinking maybe 100, 200 years, 300 years later, we will be able to create life. So, and let me tell you, they will actually never come to the point of doing it, because the more they try to understand, the more they will see that it is much farther away. So, those who think that it is possible to imitate God, they are foolish, they are ill informed. But the more knowledge they have, the more they will understand that they're far and farther and farther away from the possibility of ever being able to imitate God. A scientist is saying that. And he was actually also saying about Darwin's theory, how it is a meaningless theory. And he was saying this point where microevolutions within a certain species is possible, but one species changing to another species, that has never been done, never been seen, there's no proof of it, nothing. For example, the virus, it alters its DNA, and it kinds of evades the vaccine or whatever. Now there are so many variants. Actually, it mutates. What is that mutation? What does mutation means? That means there is a change in the DNA. Now, that sounds like evolution, right? But that virus will never become a bacteria, will never become a house fly or a mosquito or a, another or a fish or whatever. No, it will never. It will stay within the virus, and even among many many kinds of virus, that virus will be that virus only. It's just a different strain of these things, but it's the same thing. So he was making this point, the scientist. So this is something interesting. I mean, even Prabhupada already said this like 50 years ago. And these scientists are now realizing that Darwinism is not at all a proper explanation for the origin of life. And the scientist was making also a point that there has to be a God. Without an intelligent person and a purpose behind this whole creation, nothing has any basis. It's just a meaningless thing. And if it's so meaningless that there's no God and there's no, it's just a, gases and some molecules and some primordial soup from which everything has come about, then why do we have things like morality and what is right and what is wrong, and where do these come from the gases and molecules, and where does this come from? It doesn't make any sense. Why these psychological or some morality, what is right and what is wrong? How did we come to that? If it is just a combination of gases, what is the point of discussing morality? That was the point of Kṛṣṇa also. Vaibhashika and Lokayatika philosophy in the second chapter, 26th verse. He's saying that, if at every moment millions of souls are taking birth and millions of souls are dying, why should we be so concerned about somebody dying then? It's bound to happen anyway. So there's no morality. If we just consider that, you know, it is just matter, and then life takes birth, millions of life forms take birth every moment, and millions of life forms give up their animated condition and die. So if that is the case, then why should we be so worried about, like Prabhupada said, you know, there will be so many bubbles when the water comes ashore, and then all this foam will come, and then so many bubbles, form, and then when the water recedes, then the bubbles all will get, so many bubbles are burst, and then new bubbles are formed. So who cries over some bubbles being burst? So our life is just like a bubble in the expanse of time. And for these bubbles, why we should be so much concerned? If God and all this idea is not there, if there is no moral north star and there's nothing, then what is the point in discussing morality and what is right, what is wrong? Just let it be. So Krishna argued from both sides of the aisle. That means if you know that the soul is eternal and the body is temporary, and then dharma, of course, what is the this is dharma yuddha, and you're fighting for the religious cause, which is my cause, and when I sanction it, um, it is dharma, it is the right thing to do. So when you know that the soul is eternal, then why we should grieve for the body? And if we are on the other side, which is a materialistic stupid philosophy where you know there is only one life, and at some point life starts and some point life ends, and millions of lives forms starting, millions of life forms ending at every single moment, then if that is the whole thing, then even then, what is the reason to worry? Then what is the reason to worry then? Whether we believe in the eternality of the soul, or whether we believe it is only one body, why we should worry? So if that is the case, then why there is worry in the first place? So why do we have these feelings if they don't matter whether we believe in the eternality of the soul or we don't believe in it? It should not matter to us whether somebody dies or takes birth or whatever. But why are we happy when somebody takes birth? Why are we sad when somebody dies? Or sometimes we are happy when the enemy dies. So why do we have these feelings attached to our birth, death, and everything? The reason being, we are not just we are beings which thinking, have thinking, feeling, and willing. And now we have misidentified with matter, and therefore we think the beginning of the body is the beginning of the person, and that is where our thing is there, our misalignment with the truth. But when we get aligned with the truth, then we will have all kinds of feelings for Krishna. Not only for Krishna, but for everyone on a spiritual basis. Why does a preacher go out and preach? Because he feels compassion for the suffering population, and he tries to help because he knows now what is right and what is wrong. And he is at the same time, as much as he has so much feelings spiritually for the Lord, he has so much feeling. He wants to do so many things for the Lord. And when somebody blasphemes the Lord, he gets angry. These things, and greedy. He's greedy to hear about the topics of Krishna, and greedy for service. So these things are there. There are so many spiritual feelings the devotees have for the Lord, and through the Lord, through to every single person. Like for example, he has deep friendship with his with devotees and great respect for the spiritual master. All this is centered on Krishna, and he has deep compassion for the suffering people of this world. And that is also because he understands that they are part and parcel of Krishna, and in that way he connects with them. But at the same time, as much as he has so much feeling, is filled brimming with feeling, but for materialistic life, he doesn't has no feeling. He doesn't see that okay, this is he's not too attached to family life, for example, because that is a relationship of the body. That relation that I am a son of so and so, I'm a father of so and so, a husband of so and so, wife of so and so, sister, brother of so and so. These are false relationships, and there he does not invest his feelings. What is not real? Why do I invest my feeling? For example, if I have a child, I will have so much feeling for that child, and if he does something wrong, I will correct him, punish him. But if it's another person's child, I don't feel so much. I'm detached. Although I may see that okay, he's a spoiled brat or whatever, I don't really go out of my way to correct him as much as I would my own son. Why? Because there's no relationship there. So why there is attachment? Everybody is attached to their own family because there's relationship there. So now extend that idea. If I actually have no relationship bodily, like this is my father, this is my son, this is my wife. If that relationship doesn't exist, then why do I have feelings? So it is not that he is stone-hearted. It is just that he has feelings for them through Krishna. Through Krishna. Yes, they are Krishna's servants. So let me engage them in Krishna's service. So that relationship is proper. So in this way, we need to understand everything from this perspective. What is spirit? What is matter? And in the matter, what is closer to spirit? For example, those in the mode of goodness have a better chance of, taking to Krishna consciousness. Passion and ignorance, well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is Dinahina Jatachilo, Harinam Uddharilo, Tarasakshi Jagai Madhai. And Prabhupada also, exemplified, he saved so many people who are in the base modes of passion and ignorance. Wherever there is a little bit inquisitiveness or a little bit sincerity of purpose, that spark can be fanned and it can be made into a fire. So that is our movement. So that is actually the sign of goodness. See, although Prabhupada went to America and then they were, they were downtrodden, very bad, But one thing Prabhupada saw that was, a spark that he saw in them is that they were somehow or other not so attached to family life. India, when he was preaching in India, Prabhupada, nobody wanted to join him. Nobody was interested. Because they were all too family oriented, too attached to family. Which is good only until one becomes Krishna conscious. Because no family attachment, no, nothing. Just like, there's no, family attachment. What happens with that? Like in the Western culture, is opposite, where they don't have moral principles. So they don't have a proper framework for moral principles. So that is a compromise. One does not have a proper family attachment. But then this family attachment, why is it important? It is only important until the point. So, for example, if I'm coming from a nice family and I have respect for my father, respect for my mother, and then my ancestors and everything, and so I will want to behave in a way that gives a good name and good reputation, or keeps up the reputation of my family. So that attachment, oh, I belong to this family, it's a very cultured family, and I have to keep this reputation, I cannot do something bad. So it will at least deter us from going down. It's not a very effective way, but it's one of the lines of defense. The ultimate thing is, the ultimate insurance from sinful life is Krishna consciousness. Until one has achieved Krishna consciousness, these other barriers, like if why is for example marriage, it's done as a public ceremony, so that, oh, in front of everyone I have declared that this is my wife, and she declares he is my husband. So I have to keep up the vow. I mean, even though there may be difficulties, I've already promised, and everybody saw that, and I have to keep those vows. So it will at least limit that person from doing something bad. It may not actually. If he really has no shame and if he has no binding from all these things, then he may do. So actually, it is still, as Prabhupada said in 334, accidents are possible even on the royal road. This is the exact verse that I'm talking about actually. 334. इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषो व्यवस्थितो तयोर्नवशमागच्छेत् तौह्यस्य परिपन्थिनो. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. This is very important. This is quite nuanced, because this attachment and aversion, okay, this is correct, this is wrong, and all that. So we should become attached to those which are correct and those which elevate us to the mode of goodness at least, and we should be condemning those which are, in the mode of ignorance. And therefore, there is a natural attachment and aversion, even for the progressing person. Now, here it is said, yes, there are principles to regulate attachment and aversion, but one should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion, or even one should not come under the control of the regulations of which regulate the attachment and aversion. So let's read the purport. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification. But those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. See, this is the point I was trying to make. The idea is to become Krishna conscious. If I'm not Krishna conscious, at least don't fall into sinful life. Actually, without Krishna consciousness, any life is sinful life. But at least don't go into the modes of passion and ignorance. At least be in goodness. So to maintain that, there are certain frameworks and rules and regulations, Vedic rules. Like that, family life is also part of that. So until one comes to Krishna consciousness, yes. But once he comes to Krishna consciousness, then he is no more indebted to anything else, any other process. Just by the strength of Krishna consciousness, he can, have highest morality, and he doesn't have to be attached to family. He should actually rise above family attachment anyway. So that's what he said here. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement. An improper family life coupled with a lack of God consciousness is a recipe for disaster. But an improper family life with God consciousness is better than proper family life without God consciousness. Try to understand again, I'll repeat. Improper family life without God consciousness It's just, you know, a downfall, like what was in America. Now, I mean, not was, even now, in Western countries, it is even more prevalent, and the cancer is spreading to the east also. Now, an improper family life with God consciousness is actually the best. A proper family life without God consciousness is inferior to improper family life with God consciousness. Now, you may say, what about proper family life with God consciousness? That is also not as good as improper family life with God consciousness. Because with family life, there also comes the attachment. Yes, there is regulation and, you know, saving from absolute plummeting into the, abyss of sinful life. But at the same time, it has its own, it has attachments which will come with it. So there is side effects. But an improper family life, or in fact no family life with God consciousness, is the highest. And that does not mean he is running away from responsibility. Actually, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the entire world becomes his family then. Bhūtva dīna ganeshakau karunaya kaupina kanthāsritau tyaktva turnam asesha mandalapatim sada tuchhava. So the Goswamis, 6 Goswamis, they have left opulent positions of family life and became mendicants and started working for the entire, welfare of the world. They took the whole world as the, usually a family man, he will just work for the welfare of his family. But they took the welfare of the world as their responsibility. Means they actually accepted the greater family. And that greater family is in relation with Krishna. So let's continue reading of this purport here. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement, but one who follows the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures does not become entangled by the sense objects. For example, sex enjoyment is a necessity for the conditioned soul. And sex enjoyment is allowed under the license of marriage ties. According to scriptural injunctions, one is forbidden to engage in sex relationships with any woman other than one's wife. All other women are to be considered as one's mother. But in spite of such injunctions, a man is still inclined to have sex relationships with other women. These propensities are to be curbed, otherwise, there will be stumbling blocks on the path of self realization. See? And to stop this, there is institution of marriage and all these things. Now, as long as the material body is there, the necessities of the material body are allowed, but under rules and regulations. And yet, we should not rely upon the control of such allowances. Oh, because now I am in family life. In fact, one devotee, so-called devotee, who's no more with us now, he was trying to associate with us, in fact, it was the New Zealand Yatra, in the 2012, 2013, 2014. We were trying to make some friends with them and try to preach together. So the leader there, so-called leader, happens to be pervert actually. Turned out to be a pervert. Later we knew about that. But he was saying, Grahastha ashram is the best ashram of all the ashrams. Brahmacharis, there is something wrong with them. He is saying like that. Vanaprastha is too dangerous, premature. If I can't keep up the vows and I fall down with some woman, so. And sannyas also the same thing. If I become a sannyasi and then fall down, so it's very risky. Brahmachari also, you're always lusting after women. You have not tasted sex, or you're like, um, it's not stable. Again, you can fall with the woman. But in Grihastha ashram, you are safe. He came to this conclusion. Rascal. Prabhupada said 75% of the chance of going back to Godhead is gone when you go to Grihastha ashram. Yes, we agree that a charlatan brahmachari or vanaprastha and sannyasi, that is bad, of course. Better than that is a honest Grihastha ashram. But you cannot say that the Grihastha ashram is the safest. It is not. It has its own side effects. It has its own distractions. Yes, it saves us from at least a complete plummet. But It is not the ideal. It's just the interim stage before we. That's why even in although there is grahasthashram instituted in the varnashram system, it is only for a while in life. Like after panchashordhvam vanam vrajet, one should leave the home at 50 years old and take to sannyas, sannyas ashram, vanaprastha and sannyas. So that means what? It is an interim stage only. It's an interim stage. The brahmacharya is to, strong training basis foundation. Then if one cannot be a lifelong brahmacharya, okay, for a while allowed grahasthashram. And after doing that, okay, leave vanaprastha and then sannyas. So it's an interim. It's not this is the safest ashram. What safest ashram? Gruham andhapupam. So that's why this is the thing. What is that? And yet we should not rely upon the control of such allowances. Oh, because marriage allows me to have sex, so I depend on this. No. We should come out of that. It's only a temporary allowance. So, reading on, one has to follow those rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray. You see? Practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray, as much as there is always the chance of an accident even on the royal roads. Although they may be very carefully maintained, no one can guarantee that there will be no danger even on the safest road. The sense enjoyment spirit has been current a very long time owing to material association. Therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there is every chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. But attachment to Krishna consciousness, or acting always in the loving service of Krishna, detaches. But attachment to Krishna consciousness, this attachment now to Krishna consciousness, or acting always in the loving service of Krishna, detaches one from all kinds of sensory activities. Therefore, no one should try to be detached from Krishna consciousness at any stage of life. The whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately to become situated on the platform of Krishna consciousness. Now, if there is all the why I'm saying why we have gone in this direction, today's class is something else, right? No. So this is related because the different kinds of worship, they are only temporary allowances, just like marriage is a temporary allowance from falling down. Similarly, those who are in the different modes, there is, okay, that kind of worship is there, and then slowly rise above that. They are all temporary allowances. Now, those will only take you thus far and no farther. But when you come to Krishna consciousness, that will take you the furthest. And that's why it is said that there are different destinations by different paths. But actually, they are not, in the ultimate sense, they are not different paths. Like, that day, somebody asked in the comment section, Krishna says, Manushya partha sarvashaha. Here he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. As all the surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Yatamat tatopat. They try to prove their philosophy with this. So everyone follows my path in all respects. What does that mean? So if you see, all these different paths have different goals, different destinations. But actually, they are not different paths. Well, they are kind of, they yes will reach to the same goal, but in a much, distance between point A and point B, the shortest distance is a straight line between them. Now, how many paths there can be from point A to point B? Infinite paths, because here is A and here is B. I can go straight, I can go like that, I can go like that, I can go like that, I can go like that and like that and like that and like that. So I can, there are infinite ways to get to B from A. Devotional service is the fastest to go back to Godhead. Demigod worship, what it will do? It will take us to another platform in this material world. Now, there is a free chance that I can meet a devotee there and then make it back to Vaikuntha. Even if I go to hell, some devotee like Narad Muni, he can come and, maybe he's traveling somewhere and then maybe he meets his friend Yamaraj, who's also a pure devotee, and then at that time maybe somebody can be delivered. Can happen. So anywhere, the purifying factor, the real factor is the association of devotee. So these different places will take us to different platforms in this material world only, but it will keep us here unless at any point in our journey we meet a pure devotee, whether in heaven or hell or anywhere. If we meet a pure devotee, then, and if we actually take it up seriously, that is the beginning. Even if we do not take it seriously, even if we pay respect to the pure devotee, somehow or other, that will go into account. Some ajnata sukriti somewhere that will that will be taken into account, and eventually, after many many lifetimes, one will be tasting the fruit of such. So these processes in themselves cannot take us back to Godhead, but the encouragement in the Vedic scriptures at all levels, there is encouragement to, there is discouragement to go down and encouragement to rise above, rise up. Now, the encouragement may be of a very small destination, like okay, go to from mode of passion, ignorance, at least come to passion. Say, for example, like pitṛ-vratāḥ, all this. This is in the mode of passion, ancestor worship. So, okay, do that. At least do something. And then slowly deva-vratā, those who want to worship the devatas, at least do that. At least come to some standard. Don't glide down. Whatever it is, at least stay where you are or climb higher. Don't glide downward. And then if you are, go upstream, don't go downstream. But if you can get picked up from somewhere and then go back to the Vaikuntha, that's another thing. So that is the whole point of picking us up and taking us back to Godhead. So we should understand, like, the other example I gave is mountain. Now, mountain, all the way to the peak. Now, one way is take a helicopter and land there directly, just land there at the peak, at the summit. That's one way. Another way is, go through the caves or whatever, climb this way, that way, this way, some rocks, and like a rock climber, you go like that, or you pave a road and then go here and like a winds and turns and like that. Now, when the car is going like that, and then going like that and snaking. Now the car direction is somewhere else. Actually, he has to go to here, but his direction is this way. But he's on the path to ultimately go there. You see? So it is a much longer kleshodhikatarastesham avyakta sattachetasam. So if you don't take to devotional service, every other process is a very, very, very extremely, excruciatingly painfully long-winded way. Whereas devotional service is just a straight path. Not just a straight path, but also fastest. Like Prabhupada said, staircase, you can climb a staircase or you can go by the lift. Fast, lift is fast. So bhakti is like that. So therefore, yatama tathapad is wrong. At the same time, manushya partha sarvasha mama vartmanu vartante. Everybody is following my path. My path means he has set up these sub paths, not the actual path, sub paths. Okay, go to here, go from here to here, go from here to here, here to here, here to here. So there are processes for going how to go from here to here, here to here. They're all paths. Yeah, they ultimately meant to take us to that summit of Krishna consciousness. But it's excruciatingly long, thousands and thousands of lifetimes. So why we should take up those things? Intelligent persons should take to Krishna consciousness, direct path. That is the whole point. Hmm. Um, of course, we can actually expand upon this in many ways, but so I would actually like to stop here, my explanation, and I'll take any comments or questions that are there. I'll just maybe end on with this one last verse. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:21-23. You see, फलश्रुतेयं नृणां न श्रेयो रोचनं परं श्रेयो विवक्षया प्रोक्तं यथा भैषज्यरोचनम्. Those statements of scripture promising fruitive rewards do not prescribe the ultimate good for men, but it's not hut, but are merely enticements for executing beneficial religious duties, like promises of candy spoken to induce a child to take beneficial medicine. Flowery language, to induce a child to take a medicine, you will use a lot of flowery language. Oh, how this one, that one. Oh, I'll give you this one. You promise so many things, but actually want him to take the medicine. We're not really interested to provide all those things that we promised to the child. We just say those things to get him to do something. So these promises in the Vedas of heavenly happiness and all these things, this is exactly the same. So there are different paths, yes, but they're only meant to make us Krishna conscious ultimately, indirectly. So we should not take to these paths. These are these are for less intelligent people. Like the kids, I mean, they don't have any brains to understand that the medicine is good for them. Okay, let me pop in the medicine. No. They will have to throw tantrums, they have to behave cranky. So, how to manage these idiots? Basically, they're idiots, fools. So, for the foolish people, yeah, trickery is necessary. But for the intelligent, the truth is why you have to get them to the truth through trickery. The truth can stand on its own merit, and an intelligent person will value the truth. But the child will not value. That's the problem. He doesn't have intelligence. He's a fool, and therefore he needs trickery to do. So it is like the trickery, and slowly, one is got into the stage of Krishna consciousness. So, all right. So, I'll take any questions or comments. Saurav Sahu. Prabhupada said if anyone has pinch of attraction with anything of this material world, they can't enter in the spiritual world. Yeah. Veganism is a nonsense. They're saying drinking milk means torturing the cow. Recently, one Ramakrishna Mission monk saying Vaishnava calling cow as their mother and putting the cow in Goshala. Why rather than RK Mission is a place where they openly do Vaishnava Aparadh. And also another thing is silk. Silk has to be offered to Krishna also, right? But silk is gotten by killing silkworms. So again, how can we get a silk cloth for Krishna without killing the silkworms? Um, Now, in this world, silk is gotten like that. But there are other ways to get silk and even milk. Like there is an ocean of milk, right? Where did that ocean come from? So in this world, yes, we are aware of one way to derive something. But in the spiritual world, there don't have to be. There's no killing of any silkworms to get the silk. Silk is already there. So Milk is also there. Of course, there are cows. Okay, what is here? The meat they'll use in pub subs when in Publix for the vegetarian burger isn't tasty. That's not the purpose of this comment. Another scenario I faced was the natural best stick versus the imitation meat. In fact, we have read the other day Manusmriti, in that, our video against Vivekananda. There is one verse which says, if you really want to eat meat, please make meat out of flour or something else and eat that, but don't kill the animal. So, like kind of this, vegetarian meat and mock meat kind of thing. Of course, it is done with gluten. There is one way. There is another way which is done with. Actually, recently, I think just a few days ago, one lady, you know, um, ordered for prasadam from our temple for some event of hers, and then she took us to the her manufacturing plant where she makes mock meat out of moong dal, chickpeas, and she also has a soya bean version of them. So in this way, and then she cuts it in the same way as the meat. So her mission, she and her husband, they're vegetarians. Her mission is to like spread vegetarianism. Of course, we know what it is, but you know, of course, vegetarianism is actually less sinful than animals. That is there, but it is still sinful. But anyway, her mission is like that. So of course, we're told about prasadam and everything. But in her plant, this is the thing that they're doing mock meat so that people can go away from meat and with a plant-based alternative. Now, whether it'll be as tasty as this, well, this is for those people who cannot control their tongue. Okay, at least eat vegetarian thing. So Manusmriti says you can do that. If you really can't give up on the idea of eating meat, and if you really want to eat some make it out of flour or something like that and do, but don't eat meat. I myself will not switch over to the natural selection they have due to its unpleasant taste. Therefore, I am a meat eater. Oh, then you're a problem. You have a problem. You see, you cannot be a meat eater. And see, the problem is you're sinful if you're a meat eater. And for a meat eater, it is very difficult to understand God. You cannot understand actually. God will not allow you to understand Him. Nivritta-tarshairupageya-manas भवौषधात् श्रोत्रमनोभिरामात् क उत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवादात् पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. Pashughnat means butcher, one who is killing his own personal existence. So butcher means not only the butcher who actually chops the animal, but also one who eats is also a butcher. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system, that is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher? So when we are a meat eater, we cannot understand God. There is no way. So you have to eat Krishna Prasadam. You have to learn this. You have to know that eating meat means you are going to be the animal next life. You are signing up for that. That's the contract. So it is not that, oh, please take compassion upon the animals and no. If you are interested in your own well-being, forget about the animals. If you are interested in your own well-being, then you should not eat meat. Even if you are just selfish and don't care about the animals, you are going to suffer. You will be the animal and you will be slaughtered in the exact same way. And as many animals as you've eaten, that many times you will be slaughtered. So you will face that. So I don't want you to face that. So the only way to come out of this trap is stop eating meat and chant Hare Krishna and become a devotee, eat Krishna Prasadam. Then Krishna will excuse, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami, but sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Surrender unto me, and whatever sin you have done, I will absolve all of that. And I'll give you liberation. So that's what we need to do. Realize our mistake, stop it, correct our action, and become a devotee of God, which is the corrective action. And then that's it. Don't look back and turn back again to sinful life. So this is what needs to be done. That is the only way out of this trap. Otherwise, you're asking for extreme trouble. Extreme trouble. I mean, I'm not just saying this to scare you. It is actually a fact. You will regret when you realize this, after the death. So don't do it. Don't eat meat. They put their mother with a rope in a neck. Oh, vegans, they say like that. Oh, they call, Ramakrishna Mission, they say, oh, we put our mother with a rope in the neck. Well, yeah, it is not exactly like a human mother. We cannot treat. So we have to treat as they are to be treated. Yes, mother, yes, we respect. That does not mean we can talk to the cow, right? Like we would with our mother. Hmm? So, so there is how they have to be treated. They have to be treated, and Krishna also shown how to treat. Ropes, these are all used. The bullock cart, then bull is the father, putting rope and then toiling hard in this thing, making the beast do so much work. For them, it is. For us, it is too much work. For the bull, it is not. In fact, they also need exercise. They also feel good when they move about. Hmm. And if they serve, you see, a cow, yes, mother, yes, giving milk, yes, but if that milk is not offered to Krishna, she is not benefiting. But if a devotee, milks the cow and gives the milk to Krishna, then she is benefiting. If the bull is not used in agriculture and that crop being used for Krishna offering, then the bull is not benefiting. But by offering, then the bull also can be benefited. So when the like then why Gokara, when one is not Krishna conscious, one is compared to a cow and an ass. Of course, Prabhupada said cow is mother, it's an animal. But at the same time, it is also classified as an animal in this verse, Gokara. Because we get the punya of serving a mother by taking care of the cow. But in its consciousness, the cow is an animal. He doesn't have, she doesn't have the consciousness of a human being to understand God and all this. No. Yeah. So it is lesser than human birth, definitely. But for us, we have to consider her as mother. That is how we have to treat. So in this way, we have to understand this. Um, Everything has to be used. If the animals are used for humans and the humans use their lives for God consciousness, then the animals also benefit because they are helping humans. Animals help in many ways, like cows and bulls. We know, okay, milk and um, in the agricultural fields, and also transport system, bullock carts. This is why, although you may say that those are all primitive, those are all like old-fashioned transport, whatever. Now we have cars, fast and all. But there is, you can have speed. Yes, you may have speed now, but we are also speedily heading in the wrong direction, spiritually speaking. We're going down because of tractors and cars and everything. Animals are relegated to like no use. They are not being used for the service of human civilization. When the animals are used for human civilization, it is good for the animals because they are rendering service to humans, and the humans should be God conscious. Then in that case, the animals will become dāsa, dāsa, anudāsa, like that. So, ajnata sukriti. So, just like a flower, if it is offered to Krishna, the plant gets benefit. Fruit, when it's offered to Krishna, the plant gets benefit. So, when the animals are used in some form of service, say for example, bullock cart, okay, transport, right? Maybe the devotee can go, like, this Padayatra, which Prabhupada wanted and it was done by ISKCON. Padayatra. They go on bullock carts and then they go from village to village, town to town, city to city, and then they do Sankirtan, book distribution, and all these things. So if it can carry books, if the bullock, and then it can carry devotees, and it can be used for preaching missions, or even if it is not preaching mission, if suppose you're doing general trade or something like that, and then the contribution is given to Krishna consciousness movement, something like that. So indirectly, directly, they can be used for the servicing the human civilization. So bullock carts is one thing. Horses for transport, for army, even like fighting. And you see, when you have elephants also for that reason, and there are of course lesser animals like dogs. They also do guarding. They are like guards, watchdogs. And dogs are not like nowadays. You take the dog into the bed and all that. No, dogs are kept outside. They're given prasadam and but they're outside only, and but they're loyal to the master. So that is allowed. That is fine. So dogs are there. They do their service. So in this way, there are so many animals which can actually serve the humans. And mind you, when you have animals like that, you don't need an extensive road system. You don't have to have this huge infrastructure of roads because wheels require roads. Of course, chariot and bullock and what is this horse cart? They also require wheels. Um, Easy road is enough. I mean, just a plain road, not like huge infrastructure. What is required for cars and all that. So, um, and there is sufficient occupation for everyone, and life needs to be doesn't need to be very complicated. This capitalism has brought about this thing. Too much overcomplication of life. Such insane amounts of profits are not needed actually. Not needed. Um, as long as we have enough for our sustenance, we have time for Krishna consciousness. What else do we need? And any grandeur, if it is at all required, it was used for the Lord, like build a very grand temple. But houses are all very simple. Temple is very grand. If you see all the old temples in India, beautiful, intricate architecture. Such care and attention is given to building of the temple. And of course, the royal palace is also a little bit. It has to be, and a fort and all these things are required. These are the structures, important structures. Temple is the most important thing. So, but nowadays everything has changed. They just want to build fancy buildings and tourist attractions and business complexes. This is what they want. Um, so, coming back to the point. So, even if animals, yeah, if the uh, cow is kept with rope or whatever, that does not mean we're treating the cow badly. And okay, another thing, cow is also naked, right? Do we have our mother naked? No, but then cow is naked. So you can't treat it like the same as a human being. At the same time, she has to be given with the respect of a mother. So she is giving milk, so that respect should be there. But dealing should be different. Like Pandita Samadarshana does not mean that he'll go and embrace the tiger. How we have to behave with each, we have to behave like that. But the respect should be that for the cow at least. So in this way, we have to understand these things. Otherwise, you would have seen Krishna, teaching us how to you know, treat a cow. He would have dressed her as a woman and all that. He did not do that. The cows were naked, going pasturing ground and everything. So all this have to go raksha. Ruzi Nana is saying now they predicted by 2030 we will achieve immortality. When I was a kid, it was the year 2000, and I was 14 years old. I remember, and they said Vision 2020. We're gonna have this very futuristic. I was in Andhra Pradesh at the time, and Chief Minister was having this Vision 2020, very very futuristic. This thing. Yeah, I mean, future did come. I mean, there are smartphones and all these things happened. But what happened 2020? COVID. Everybody locked down like never before. Going primitive, like at least primitive they used to go in bullock carts. That also cannot be done. So that's what happened in 2020. So now the 2030 immortality. Very good. Good luck. And I don't think anybody even said that. You were just saying, but I did not see any that claim that 2030 we will achieve immortality. What is the bare minimum we should take a month just to maintain health? Not a big fan of conventional milk. See, we should offer to Krishna and take every day at least one glass. We should take. No, we should not be too much concerned with their concerns. We should be concerned with our concerns. You know, like even in the 1970s, the sugar. I don't know now how it is done, but in 1970s, the sugar, white sugar, cow bones were used to process it for some reason, calcium, I don't know, to whiten it. Then the disciples asked Prabhupada what to do. I mean, like sugar is like this. Can we even buy it? Prabhupada said, no, man. I mean, everything is impure in this Kali Yuga. That's what we have got, so just use it. So he said like that. So he is not too much concerned about, oh yeah, it's there, something is nonsense, but we will just do what Krishna asks us to do, and whatever anything else will be adjusted with Krishna. So Krishna is the Om Apavitraha Pavitrova Sarvavastham Gatopiva Yah Smare Pundarikaksham Sa Bahya Abhyantara Shuchihi. So Apavitraha Pavitrova, whether it is pure or impure, Sarva Avastham Gatopiva, and every difficulty will be gone if we remember the lotus-eyed Lord, and everything will be internally and externally cleansed. So that is the only purifying factor for us. Otherwise, if you want to purify something else by something else, some other process, there will be some other impurity in that process. So materially, we cannot have a process which can completely counteract another process. We can't. The only way to counteract everything is through Krishna. That is the only purifying factor. In fact, Prabhupada said milk is very necessary for getting brains to understand spiritual life. Bill Gates is adding his mRNA vaccine to the cows. Vaccine, I like the word. Vaccine. Well, did he do that? Is he doing that? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the best thing is to have our own cows. This is why. You know what? I actually wanted to share this video for a few days. I saw this entire video. I was so impressed. It was a 59 minutes video, almost 1 hour. I think it was about one or 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 10 days ago. It was an Amish person. Amish, I think those who are in America, they know. Amish people, they are very orthodox Christians or Catholics or something like that, and very very religious, and even vegetarians. And they're so strict with their thing. They don't want to be influenced by this modern culture. In America, you can see them. In the West, not Midwest, something like that. So, and there are these people, and they're so disconnected from this world that they don't even use a cell phone. So in this video, this guy, this man, he is a normal guy. He's a videographer, vlogger kind of guy. But he wants to explore different people, different places, and everything. So he went to this place, and he was talking to this guy. He was a young guy, I think maybe late 20s, maximum early 30, 31, 32, max. Maybe he's in 20s. So he he was interviewing him, but not just like a sit down interview. He was going around, that person was showing around his place and his land. He had a 50 acres land, and he trains horses, and he's a vegetarian, and he lives so naturally. He doesn't even have electricity. He doesn't have cell phone. And he's so religious, and when he speaks, full of God consciousness. Everything he looks from the Bible's perspective, and very, very Vaishnavic thought process. Of course, he's not introduced to our Vaishnava culture, but whatever he was introduced through Bible, he's very God conscious in that sense. Simple living, high thinking, absolutely. I mean, it was a very good example, and in fact, we have to also do that. Eventually, we will be forced to do that when cities become unbearable to live in. But instead of jumping to that when it's only a necessity, if we can transition to that even now, somehow or other, start actually having these self-sufficient farm communities, that is the way forward. I mean, Prabhupada wanted it. Prabhupada absolutely already predicted the downfall of cities, culture, all this urbanization, commercialism, capitalism that drives these unethical treatment of animals and plants and everything. The soil, the planet, and everything is just screwed up. All this is because of consumerism. Oh, I can get more profit and sell more of these things. How to do more of these things, produce more, whatever it takes to produce more. So in this way, it is driving that. And when profit is at the forefront, corners are cut, rules are broken, moralities are compromised. So you can't expect saintly behavior from profiteering capitalists. So I understand that. Until we have a nice solution, we still have to be in the cities, especially for preaching. We have to be in the cities, whether or not we like it. We have to be in the cities for preaching. But of course, we should also show an alternative lifestyle. Of course, we need manpower for that. We need more people to actually surrender and join up. Then, of course, we will start many projects to be done. We have land in the Malaysia, but it's not really cultivated like a farm and growing all our vegetables, our fruits, our cows. It's not done like that because only one person is there now, and that too is an elderly man. So we would love to actually. I was just discussing with other devotees, how we can somehow or other, at least on weekends, go there and start something and plan something. But of course, he has to maintain that. That's the problem. He's alone there. We need to think about how to do these things. But if we can have a farm, we have a 4 acres land there. If we can start something nice, we can actually grow so much in 4 acres. So much. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand a lifestyle like that. But when we're in the cities, we have to also be adjustable to the conditions in the city. Now, whatever it is, if we offer it to Krishna, then that's the best we can do. So instead of, we can go into the nitty-gritty of every single thing, all these quack scenes and all this. But I don't know if we actually did it to the cows. I don't know. I have not heard it. Maybe there's news like that. But yeah, definitely they're injecting the cows with all sorts of things and which we don't want. But that's all we got at the present moment. So the main thing is, instead of worrying about all these things, offer it to Krishna and take it. That's the thing that we want to go by. We want to ultimately follow Krishna's order. So we want to do that. So if you worry about too many things, everything is a problem actually. 18th chapter, 47th and 48th verses, every endeavor is covered with some kind of fault. Nothing is pure in this world actually. Even the so-called mode of goodness is not pure. The only thing that makes it pure is mantratas tantratas chidram desha kalarha vastutah sarvam karota nischidram anusankirtanam tava. When we Yes, we saw that verse 8:23:16 of Bhagavatam. By chanting Krishna's name, everything will become faultless. Now, Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swanushthitat Swabhavaniyatam Karma Kurvan Napnoti Kilbisham. It is better to engage in one's own occupation even though one may perform it imperfectly than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Now, here you can go and read the purport. Brahmana has to sometimes kill the animals in sacrifice, or Kshatriya has to kill in enemies. So all these are faults. See, sahajam karma kaunteya sadosham apina tyajet sarvarambha hi doshena dhumena agnirivavritah. Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up the work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. Now, for want of a better situation, yeah, there is full of fault in many things in this world, but we use it in Krishna's service and then that's it. We don't think too much about the fault. Of course, we should understand, we should recognize the fault. I'm not saying we should be blind to it. No. But we should also understand that the only purifying factor, only purifying agency is Krishna. So, we should also be as convinced or even more convinced in the purificatory potency of Krishna than the fault that is there in the material things in this world. They are saying they will do age reversing and they'll make everyone young. They already explained how they did it on mice by altering some specific parts of their genes. Don't know what all this. No. Crap. Never. You cannot do this. Age reversing is just myth. You can't do it. This guy has come just to argue. Would I ask him better off accepting Darwinian evolution theory since Bhaktisiddhanta's invention of Neo-Brahmanism is not supported by Shastra and Gaudiya Purvacharyas? Please shut up, Don't comment on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and as if you are greater than him. Mind you, I warn you, Maya will take you to task, and you will have to suffer quite badly. I don't want you to suffer. So, offending devotees, and who are you compared to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? A rascal? Huh? Absolute rascal you are. Who are you to comment? What is your understanding of Brahmanism and what Neo-Brahmanism, what rubbish you're talking? Okay? You don't even know anything. You have to read what is Brahmana and Vaishnavam, the book by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You did not read it. You don't even know. I don't think you will even understand his English, let alone even understanding the subject matter of the book. So don't be a rascal. Okay? Try to, first of all, learn how to respect. You think you're a great Brahmin and you don't even know how to respect Vaishnava Acharya. Then you're a rascal, but nothing but a rascal. So please shut up. Okay? Please shut up. Mind your own business and learn first. Don't try to come and give any advice here. We don't need your advice. According to modern science, everything had happened by chance. This existing of vast, mysterious universe, life on earth, and our existence all by chance. This is the conclusion they're talking about. Yeah. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, unmanifest again when they're annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Yeah. So even if you see this way or that way, there's no need for lamentation. So Krishna covered every angle of the argument and proved his point. Science doesn't say everything happens by chance, rather it tries to find the patterns of regularity in nature. Okay. So to that point, I would like to say, how does those patterns come into being? If there is a pattern, there is an order. Now, scientists may recognize certain patterns and orders. Recognizing the order and the creation of that order or the pattern It's totally different thing. Now, Newton may have observed the law of gravity, but who created the law of gravity? So that is the person to whom the credit should go. So, if science doesn't say everything happens by chance, then they must go the further distance. Like, okay, try to find the patterns. Why don't you understand that the pattern means there is a brain behind it? Why can't they go beyond that point of recognizing patterns? That is their folly. That is where science falls short. We have the answers for everything. We have the answers because Krishna is the creator of everything. We can easily say there is intelligence behind everything, and Krishna is the creator. You take out God, you cannot explain the creation. You cannot. You cannot explain how it happened. You cannot explain why it happened. In fact, the scientists they say like this: we will try to explain everything, but just give us one miracle, the creation of the universe. After that, we will take care of everything else. We will try to explain. We will try to find out whatever it takes to find out which theory, what theory, theory of relativity, quantum physics, this, that. But give us that one miracle of creation, and after that, we will take it from there. Then, Janmadhyasya yataha. That is Krishna. He is the origin of everything. You can't escape God. Does an improper family life become proper if they are God conscious? Yes. Yes, it does. Now, I would actually like to point out something. I would like to point out something in this regard, which somebody else also asked me a couple of months back, maybe. So, um, the question was this: improper family life. You know, today people are not so. I mean, family life is becoming more and more non-existent. Very difficult to maintain a family. Divorce rates are high, and everything is going bad. Now, and so many women are unmarried, and they get to their 30s and 40s. So, and then that's an undesirable situation to have. But if we just follow the Vedic rules of marriage, and that every woman should get married, whatever. Now, it is not that when you get married, oh, everything will be perfect. No, it will not be. It will not be. But it is not for my happiness, especially for the ladies. It's not that for their happiness they should marry. They should marry because it is the duty of Stri Dharma. Whether happiness or suffering, that's another thing. Like that, man is also not assured of happiness in marriage. That goes both ways. So it is not for one's own happiness one should do, or one should think otherwise. One should just follow what Krishna gave, that system. Um, in fact, it is not that whether there will be a right man, whether there will be a right woman, this kind of. See, the relationship is actually made after marriage. Yeah, that's when it becomes. Even if some mistakes are there, both will learn, or it will, and especially with the spiritual guidance, it will fall in place if both are willing to follow. Or even if one is not willing to follow initially, and then the other can tactfully um, mold that person into Krishna consciousness. So these things can be worked out, but we should not. Oh, just because there may not be a proper person, who knows? How can we say that there may not be a proper person? So we should not that this is Kali Yuga, all men are bad or all women are bad. It's cannot be done. No, those who want to marry among men, yeah, they can marry, and women must get married. So if we just do our dharma and do the thing, what needs to be done. Now, how perfect or how whatever I have to receive in my karma, whatever my past karma was, how much happiness, how much distress is there in my life, that is concomitant anyway. But I should do my duty in this life. So if we do like that, even if it is imperfect. For example, I'll give you, um, I know of a devotee whose parents were not Prabhupada disciples, but they're also like, for example, Prabhupada disciples. Okay, there are many devotees who got married, like Prabhupada married them, um, married them to each other, of course. So now their life, they may have divorced after that, or not ideal, not like real proper ideal family life. And their children, now many people were grown, I mean they were brought up in the Gurukul, and now the Gurukulis, so-called Gurukulis, have grown up, and then now they're very much like punks, not so much of a devotee kind. Now that's not desirable, but at least I'm not saying, I'm not endorsing any of that, but if they were properly brought up in Gurukul, that would have been ideal. But over generations, like now they have grown up, now there are some sort of devotees, there are some sort of devotees, but not ideal devotees. Now their children, like I know a devotee whose parents were Krishna conscious devotees, and then they divorced, and then um, but and he also went astray in his youthful life, teenage, that life. And then after that, somehow or other, he became serious. Now he's serious, and then his family is now serious, and he's bringing up his son in a very much more serious way. So these things can happen over generations sometimes, even if it's improper, and even if after not ideal culture, and then they become devotees, and then they marry somehow, and it may not last a very nice way. It's not saying that we're not saying that okay, that is also okay. It's not okay. But even if that happens, somehow or other, over time, things will be adjusted, and then it will be proper. Sometimes it takes even a few generations to, like 3 generations maybe, to come to the some standards. Huh? So, and even in this life, improper, like many devotees, they're grihasthas, and then they come and join Krishna consciousness, and then they were meat eaters or what. They became devotees. So you see, that also is there. Even in this life, suddenly both of them will follow, and then everything becomes all right. Sometimes it may take a couple of generations to get it all right, but the thing, it will come on track if we just follow. We cannot see short term things, short term result. Oh, I did this and then nothing happened. What is what? That's not how you see it. So we just have to do, whether it works out or not, or marriage or utterly fails or whatever. It doesn't matter really. We just have to do it, and then if it works out, it's good. If it doesn't work out, of course we should try every bit to make it work. But if somehow doesn't work out, at least carry on with children or something. At least with the association of devotees, everything will come to the proper standards. How do you think from Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga, how the transition was made? In Satya Yuga, everybody was Hamsa. There is no Varnashram. There is no Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Everybody was Hamsa. And Treta Yuga, these 4 divisions have come. So from that Hamsa to how to categorize them into this 4. Who did that? By what um, qualification they were categorized? So this, it was done over a few generations, and then everything was settled into these varnas and everything. So these transition periods will always be a little bit you know volatile, but then it will lead to a stable condition if the system is followed. Sometimes it happens even in that life. Like some of the disciples of Prabhupada, I mean, they were serious all throughout their life. That is also possible. So somehow or other, even if it is done imperfectly, just do it. Do it. So that is the very important thing to follow. Understand? Dharma, Adhyatma. Stop using biblical term demigod for Devi, Devata. Demigod, one who is equal to one who is born out of lust of angel and human in biblical notion. Catholic idiots translated Devata and Devata. No, no, my dear. Demigod means they may have their own understanding. We are not talking about that. Now, who doesn't have lust? First of all, okay, even the devatas, they are not completely pure of devoid of lust. Let's get that straight first. If they are, then they would have been pure devotees, and they will be Krishna. Some of the demigods are pure devotees. That's another thing. But demigod means not God, lesser than. That's the meaning of demigod. So we are not conforming to any Catholic ideologies or anything. We just showing you the hierarchy, who is the supreme and who is not, who have godly powers much greater than ours, but they are now nowhere close to Krishna. So they are demigods, and we will use them. And don't be caught up in the language and linguistics. And a pure devotee purifies the language. Pure devotee will give proper meaning to the words, like disciplic succession. That doesn't exist ordinarily. Supreme Personality of Godhead. That phrase was coined by Prabhupada. And many such phrases, even Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur coined them. So when a pure devotee uses a language, he actually purifies the language. So don't, oh, this is an impure language, therefore, don't use these kind of words. Well, Sanskrit is also not, although it is a perfect language, Sanskrit is not the reason why we can understand Krishna. No. If you think that by Sanskrit you can understand Krishna very well, or those are the right words to use and these are not right words, it doesn't matter at all. Language is not the determining factor. It is the pure devotee. He can use any language to preach. He can use any language to preach. And every language is created by Krishna. Some high class languages, some not so high class. But the beauty is that of a pure devotee that he can preach in any language. I mean, in every language, he tries to preach. And he preaches. Effectively, he will preach. No Advaitin talks that all paths are valid. If that is the case, then Bhagavad Adi Shankaracharya would not argue with others. Neo Vedanta like Ram Mohan and the influence talks like that. Yeah. Um, yes, Shankaracharya, he says we are all merging into one Advaita. That is the goal. But this Ramakrishna and this Vivekananda, they are the ones who purport this Yatama Tatapat. But Advaitans, their understanding is not complete as well. So God is ultimately a person. And yes, as Dimitri said, listen to the class. If you have questions, you can ask, but don't start giving your own class in the comments. That's what I want to say. So he's saying whenever you're going to find demigod or for Dev and Devi, then just remind the Jewish slave notion of yourself. Well, you're just proving yourself to be a rascal here. So just mind your own business, and either you come and listen to the class and learn something, or just get out of here. You don't even know how to talk, first of all. Just learn some etiquette first. Yeah, behave like a human being, first of all. All the miseries, pains, and sufferings exist only so long as there is attachment of the body, but they cease to exist as soon as detachment takes place. Yeah. Saurav Sahu is saying, I recently saw a video of a so-called scholar saying God-believing people are insecure people who are taking something as true about which existence we haven't any single proof. Believing something which has no proof comes from one's insecurity. Then what about not believing something which has proof? That is stupidity, right? Vanity. So there is enough proof of the existence of God. Idiots can't see, blind idiots cannot see. Dimitri, regarding today's topic 1126, Krishna says there are three ways how to reach him. I understand it as although these paths lead to the same destination, but only by bhakti we can ultimately reach God. The other paths can help us to approach him to some extent only. Is my understanding correct? Like Srila Prabhupada explains Yoga Ladder in 647 purport. Yes, exactly. Um, uh, uh, I don't get Achanta Bhedabhed probably. Please take this question. I'm sorry. You please read our books. You're not even asking them properly. You're just accusing us. You better learn how to ask questions properly. You don't even know how to assemble in a spiritual lecture. You don't even know that. So you better learn. You better start reading our books. Then you'll understand what's Achanta Bhedabhed Tattva. Is Kali Ma demonic? Why she drinks animals' blood? Well, she can eat the whole universe. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha. She destroys the whole universe. She can do anything. We cannot. She kills and to whom she does that? To the demons. Well, if she drinks, so what? She's the one who brought the blood. From where did you get the blood? Material energy only, right? She's in charge of the material energy. She's the one who created the blood. If she drinks the blood, what is your problem? Somebody asked Prabhupada, some people are saying that Ramchandra Bhagavan ate meat in the forest. Prabhupada said, Ram can eat you also. He can eat the whole universe. That doesn't mean we imitate him. And anyway, he did not eat meat. They translated a verse which actually says the flesh of the fruit. They translate it in that way. Sita and Ram, their conversation. Anyway, that's a misinterpretation. But Prabhupada answered like this: He can eat you also. Like if you see in the Krishna showing this Virat Rupa, Arjuna sees that in between his teeth, all the warriors of the Kauravas, everybody was being smashed in between the teeth and being killed. So what is that? Between the teeth means he's biting and then eating all the blood and everything. How come Krishna is doing that? Krishna can do anything. He's breathing and universes are coming out. He's inhaling and everything is going back in. He can do anything. Absolutely anything. Lord Shiva, he took poison. He can do. He's powerful. Tejiyasam nadoshaya. So they are so powerful that sin cannot touch them. In fact, they are doing their duty in the course of doing that. So it is very different from if we have blood and all that. When will ISKM have its center in Patna, Bihar? Well, you can start one. You can come, what I suggest is you come to our center in Puducherry, so down south, get trained up, and then go back and start the preaching there. And now Sundagopal Prabhu, he is there in India. If you start a center, and he will stay with you, and you can, like he's traveling anyway. So he will stay with you like that if you start a temple there. So first get trained up and then go and do it. Dimitri is saying she doesn't, everything offered to her is taken by ghosts. But of course, you have that Kali Ma, who has all the skulls around her and all that. But yes, usually when it's offered in Balidan, actually Kali Ma she doesn't take because she is Vaishnavi Devi. The hobgoblins, all the ghostly associates, they take all these offerings. What is your opinion on Indra? Please keep to the topic of the class. Okay, I don't want this, you know, Ask me whatever you want, please. Prabhu, come for a live debate. Hey, yaar. Open the Bhagavad-gītā and start reading first. On the topic of Vivekananda, let's debate. Open the line for live calls. Well, so now of course we will smash you in the debate, but no, wait first. You have to learn. First of all, you have to learn what is the truth. Don't just debate. You first be searching. You first search for proper truth. Don't just defend him, because ultimately God is powerful. Okay, God is all powerful. We should subscribe to his philosophy. And if Vivekananda says something which Krishna says, then we will agree with him. But if he doesn't say what Krishna is saying, if he's saying something else, then we have to not agree with him. So you are hell bent on defending Vivekananda. That is your problem. You should be hell bent on defending Krishna, Krishna's position. That should be the method. But if you are wanting a debate, that means you are fixed on the point of defending Vivekananda. When he is a completely lost soul. He is a lost soul. I'm telling you. He did not even know he has so many questions in his life. So many questions he had, and still he wanted to like act like he's a big, and he was not morally upright. I mean, how can he eat meat? You cannot eat meat. You cannot eat meat. I've already proven that earlier and that Vivekananda video. Many things there are. Talking nonsense, even in America, and eating meat there also. He's a person with no sense control, and he's calling himself Swami, eating food in the mode of tamogun, and he's Swami. Swami means master, who's able to control his senses. Goswami. He's not Swami. Uh, so see. We choose our battles wisely. I don't want to engage with a useless debate with some Vivekananda fellow. Anyway, we will make a video on Vivekananda. All his points will be utterly smashed. That we will do. We just wait for that. Vaikuntha planets cannot be reached by those who are not merciful to other living entities. Yeah. Basically, Vedanga Kalpa Sutra, Gautam Dharma Sutra allows meat eating if there is no other way. Even Gautam Dharma Sutra allowed wild pig. Gautam Sutra only eliminated carnivorous animals and cows. We have already gone through this in that Manusmriti thing. We have gone through all of this. There is something beyond religions. Okay. Okay, it's not even worth reading your comment. Come, next. I always want to be pure vegetarian, but I'm forced to take onion and garlic in vegetable food as pure veg is not found where I live right now. There is something called cooking. You can learn how to cook. I'm thinking that all these so-called science and technology going on in the world, it's for all increasing sense gratification, which is totally opposite of spiritual life. So that's the thing. All these technological advancements, they are just for distracting us from the real goal, but not actually, it looks like we're advancing. Actually, we're not advancing. Advancement should be seen on the spiritual quotient of people. That is dwindling, plummeting like anything. Kotamarthi Shashidhar. Hello, Swamiji. I do gym. Recently, I started chanting Hare Krishnas, and so I stopped eating meat. But just to feed me nutrients, can I eat mushrooms? Is that okay? No, it's not. It's not okay. As if you have no nutrients if you eat vegetables and proteins and everything. Why you don't have? Who's teaching you these things that you don't have enough nutrients? I think there's a Jagannath Puri Panda who's a bodybuilder who's also vegetarian, right? He only eats Jagannath Prasadam. But anyway, you first start reading Prabhupada's books, and I hope you have started. Eventually, you will lose taste for this, excessive gymming and all these things, bodybuilding. It's not needed actually. Hmm. What are you going to do with that? You know, one devotee, Prahlad Prabhu, he said like this: if one builds a body, usually it's called physique, right? So he of course changed it a little bit. He said, first physics, then chemistry, then biology. First there is physique, and then there will be chemistry between boy and girl, some lusty affair, and then there is biology, which is sex and children and family life, and the rest of it follows. So physics, chemistry, and biology. That's what happens when you try to build a body. So So this is all actually unnecessary stuff. It's anartha. It is too much absorption in bodily concept of life. We should not be doing that, gymming and all this, honestly. For a healthy body, yeah, you can just take a walk. And in the service, there is this gym of life. Life itself is a gym. Because if you really engage in service a lot, I mean, if you work on the fields, if you do book distribution every day, walking, the whole day, I mean, like carrying the book bag and, selling and talking. This is all exercise, and when you are dancing in the kirtan, that's also an exercise. It's already embedded into our life if we follow the proper way of life. Otherwise, we sit down on the couch and watch some TV, and then the other time we do gym and all this. What is all this? So work out in the gym of life. Like Prabhupada said, even the women, they churn the yogurt, butter, milk, and all these things. And that itself is an exercise. And household duties, they all are together an exercise. Now they have a machine for everything: dishwashing machine, a washing clothes washing machine, a dryer, and this and that, everything in a machine. And then they go to gym membership and go to gym. And just do this. This is already a gym of life. Life is a gym. If we really follow natural way of life, then our body will be in proper order, and we can use our time in Krishna consciousness. Now we have created so-called convenience so that we don't have to work hard. Then we go and work hard in the gym, and many people don't even work hard, and then they will get other forms of diseases. And those who work hard, they will waste their time instead of spiritual life. So everything is like imbalanced. You see, should we offer and drink cold milk? Usually, milk is boiled and then offered like that to Krishna. Is drinking hot milk with turmeric powder has some health benefit? Yeah, you can drink like that. Good. I started my chanting of Krishna to meet the initiation duration 16 times for 6 months. I was wondering if it would be appropriate to split the time, like 10, then 6, or 5 every other hour. Yeah, you can do that, but you must stop eating meat. I think you said you won't, right? So that's good. If you all this chanting, if you eat meat, so useless. You have to stop eating meat and then chant 16 rounds. Yeah, you can break it up. Not that all you have to chant at the same time. In one day, you have to chant 16 rounds. That's the whole thing. It's because of pesticide used in avocados. Yeah, that's the thing. Bees are killed. I don't consider myself a Brahmin, but I'm sorry if I offended. Well, we'll accept that. That's very gentlemanly. So of course we are forgiven, but next time we should be more mindful. Gravity is nonsense. It's not mentioned in our Shastra. Gravity is a theory Einstein implemented to suit the current rhetoric of physics. It's all nonsense. Well, there is gravity, but not in the sense that Newton probably explained it. The Sankarshan, Anantasesh, on whose hoods the universes are sitting. So his attracting force is called. That's why Sankarshan means Samyak Akarshan, complete attraction. Attraction not only by beauty and but also by the uh, force of gravity. He attracts everything to it. That's why you see the earth when it went out of orbit, Hiranyaksha, it fell to the ocean of Garbhodaka ocean. So that means it's falling down. There's a gravity towards the Garbha ocean because that's how the gravity is, because of the pulling force of Sankarshan. So in fact, magnet is also called Akarsha in Sanskrit. Prahlad Maharaj uses that word in the seventh canto. So Akarsha means magnet. So magnet also attracts things. Gravity also attracts things. So Ananta Sesh, he is also called Sankarshan. He attracts. I actually gave a whole class on this. Varaha and Nityananda. Varaha Dvadashi and Nityananda Trayadashi come always next to each other. And Nityananda is actually Sankarshan. And Varaha is, lifted the earth back, into its orbit when it fell into the. So there's actually a link between both of them in that way. So I explained that initially, but we never recorded and never streamed it live. Neil deGrasse Tyson, this guy is an atheist. He asked, "What is gravity?" and his response was, "I don't know. All of modern physics is a nonsense waste of time." Did he say that? I don't know. He'll try to give always some explanation. Vasudev Sinha. Who has a better destination? An imperfect sadhaka aspiring to serve Prabhupada or a perfectly successful demigod worshipper? Of course, an imperfect sadhaka aspiring to serve Prabhupada. His destination is better. It's better to do imperfectly the right thing rather than to do perfectly the wrong thing. This Kushal is going on about Vivekananda. I'm not interested. With modern physics, we couldn't have this live stream now. Yes, and let me tell you, now how many people? 30 people are watching this live stream. I agree. We couldn't have had this live stream, but there was a live stream. Sanjay was watching the live stream of Bhagavad-gītā when Krishna was speaking to Arjuna. Sanjay was watching. Yes, he had to be qualified to watch that live stream. But I would say this: because of technology, I am one person here and speaking to all of you. If it was no technology, every single village and town square would have been filled with Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam discussions. Every locality would have had these discussions. Previously, those were how evenings were spent in those days. Before all this, in the Vedic times, people used to discuss these things. For the general mass of people, there used to be narration from Mahabharata and Ramayana. The scholars, they will discuss, the more intricate portions of the Vedas and everything. They will have their debates or discussions or classes in this way. So there used to be so many more people hearing. Now only 30 people are hearing this live stream, and of course our now Hare Krishna movement is everywhere. There is temples and books are there. So we are using whatever faulty technology there is, or these facilities. We are using them in Krishna service. That's for sure. Yes. But our ultimate aim is to get back to that state where everywhere there is Krishna consciousness. Now you see, you are there in that whole city, no other, there's no, So everywhere there should be place where people should come and listen. Every locality used to have these things before. Now where? Now I am having to do this to all of you. So that's actually a defective model. Instead of 30, there could have been 30,000 or 300,000 people listening to this Bhagavad-gītā, but now only 30. So you see, yes, there is advantage. Like it is available to everyone, this kind of technology, whereas only Sanjay could have it, qualified people. Yeah, in that way it is good. But then at what cost? Now, since it's already there, we are going to use it. Of course, we will use it. Ajagar vritti. If somebody has, labored so hard to put this here, then why we should not use it? Since you already put it here, then so let's use it. So this is also imperfect, but we're using it. See? So we are using it in Krishna's service, and then it will become pure. The result will be pure. That whoever comes to listen to live stream and especially wants to learn, they will benefit from it, even though it's an imperfect thing. Um, but if it was not there, then the God consciousness would have been much more prevalent everywhere. Sorry for my previous language, because except Mlecha, many Hindu too insult devatas. Actually, Satyanarayana Das Babaji told about demigod as I given that. See, we don't insult devatas. Who said we will insult? They are such great servants of Vishnu or Krishna. How can we insult them? We should never insult them. We should give them the highest respect. But we should not make the mistake of treating them as God. They're not God. Hmm. And Jay's wife, Srimati Rangama, was a devout and Orthodox Vaishnavite who adhered to all Vaishnava acharyas till his last breath and accepted Vivekananda as Shiksha Guru. He and his wife were so devoted to Swamiji that his wife Rangama sold all her jewelry so that Swamiji doesn't face any financial crisis while preaching Vedanta Siddhanta in the West. That means they do not understand anything. They are not Sri Vaishnavite. They do not understand the head and tail of. They did not even start their philosophical understanding. Because if anybody is real Vaishnava, he will never support Vivekananda. I mean, the definition I was given by Satyanarayana Das Babaji about demigod. I am Bengali myself. I have Prabhupada's books in Bengali itself. He did not use devas in that sense. No, but he did use the word demigod. Prabhupada used the word demigod, but he did not mean some lusty people. No, he meant departmental heads of universal management appointed by the Supreme Lord. They are not gods, but they are much lesser in power. But they are great servitors of the Lord. That's how Prabhupada used. So how Prabhupada used, we will take. Hmm. Why do we want to have some other interpretation of something? Prabhuji, can we meditate on the meaning of mantras in our local language, or should we chant them only in Sanskrit? I understand certain beach mantras are to be chanted the way they are. No, whatever they are given, we have to chant them as it is, and we have to understand the meaning in our local language, whichever language is comfortable for you. For me, the language is English, which is most comfortable for me. So I learned the Sanskrit verses, but then I understand it in English. Of course, I understand the Sanskrit words. I mean, most of them, because of regularly learning the verses and looking at the word-to-word meanings. But the verses cannot be changed; they should be chanted in the Sanskrit. Yeah, this is the shloka learning course. You can follow this course. It's very it will help you a lot. I send the videos over on Telegram. When you get some time, you can explain to what is that. Are you the one who was? Oh no, you're not the one. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about, but if I get time, Paramahamsa Yogananda. They are not Paramahamsas, please. Yogananda also doesn't know what he's talking about. He's also a Mayavadi, impersonalist. Keshav Verma. I'm a student. Please tell how to follow brahmacharya, like food, daily habits, etc. Well, it's not a subject of the topic today, but for now, you start reading Prabhupada's books, chanting Hare Krishna, And if you can cook yourself, that is best to cook yourself and eat Krishna Prasadam. Offer it to Krishna and eat Krishna Prasadam. Wake up in the morning, do the Mangalarti and all this song at least you sing. Yeah, basically this read Prabhupada's books, chant Hare Krishna, have Krishna Prasadam, try to attend these classes like that. Alright, so I'll end it here. Thank you all very, very much. Um, sorry if I've used harsh words because it's only for your benefit, whoever has done something wrong in the live stream here. Now, nothing against you, but it's my duty to correct you when you're wrong and pass comments on acharyas like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. These are things which Krishna will not forgive. So I don't want you to face the wrath of Krishna, the anger of Krishna, which is why I told like that. But nothing against any of you. Alright, so which book should I start from? Yeah, you can read Bhagavad-gītā, any book, small books, big books, medium books, but not Bhagavatam. You start with some small books, perfect questions, perfect answers, all these small books, Science of Self-Realization, Bhagavad-gītā, you can read like that. Alright, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.